Well, good morning, folks. Welcome back to the farm. It's a gorgeous morning here this morning. Absolutely beautiful. I never put out a video yesterday or the day before, actually. Two reasons for that. I was too damn busy, and it was also too damn windy here. So now that we got the excuses out of the way, let's catch up. So yesterday morning I came out here, I was feeding all these rabid chickens, and I come over by the grain shed over there, and in my peripheral vision I could see something, just like something was just there. And then I looked down and I'm like, is that baby chickens? Yes, in fact, one of our chickens had been laying on a bird or a clutch of eggs underneath the grain shed and hatched out 5 of them. So that's exciting. So we've got those 5 in the little chicken house. So let's go take a visit and see them. Actually, before we do that, I better feed these angry chickens before I get eaten for breakfast. Yeah, so here we are in the little chicken house. And there's the little birdies. So that's super exciting. Now we're not going to raise these on heat. Good morning, Mr. Rooster. We're not going to raise these chicks on heat because we're about to go into a heat wave and it's going to be 35 degrees outside. So what's the point of turning the heat lamp on and making fried chicken? No point at all. So those chicks are cute now, but I'm guessing in about 12 weeks when they start crowing, they won't be that cute. So there's 5 of them. A good bet is that 3 of them are going to be roosters. Which 3? We're not sure yet. We'll see how that whole thing plays out. So what else is new? Well, one of our viewers, Glenn Gillis, he'd asked the other day, he had a question about compost. And so we're composting some sheep manure, old bedding, and hay. Man, you're sure noisy this morning. Anyways, yeah, so we're composting sheep manure, hay, and stuff from the bedding grounds from the winter over in our lambing pen. And I kind of let it slide in a sense that I just didn't get over there, right? There's only so many hours in a day, and sometimes, you know, the project that's going to pay you is the project you got to work on, and the project that you got 10 months to, you know, get back on top of probably slips to the bottom of the pile. And that's kind of where it happened with the compost pile. It cooled right off, and so I was talking about that, and then Glenn had sent a message and said, hey, you know what, I just flipped my compost pile and it's full of ants. So what do I do? What do I do about that? So bugs are not necessarily unwelcome in a compost pile because they still contribute to the breakdown of the material, but it does give you some indication of a couple of things. And so ants in particular could be worrisome. They are definitely helping to break down some material in your piles, but they could be worrisome in the fact that they will farm other bugs. So aphids is an example. So aphids they're terrible for your garden. You see our garden there, right? Absolutely terrible for your garden. They'll just chew that thing up. But the ants will farm them because they excrete honeydew, which ants just love to collect and feed to their larvae. So ants in your compost pile, you know, maybe not an issue, but if your compost pile is close to your garden, that could be an issue. So how do you get rid of them? Well, if the ants can survive in your compost pile, it tells me that there's, you know, maybe your pile's not warm enough, maybe your pile's not wet enough. So if you've already turned it, you've got the oxygen in there, maybe just wet it down a little bit. Verify that your carbon to nitrogen balance is correct, and get that pile heating up. If you get into the 130, 140 degree range where you're actually actively composting, there's not an ant on the planet that's going to enjoy living in there. And even on the moisture side, even if you don't get temperature-wise, get it up there, ants don't like humid environments. So even just adding some water will make a difference. So now I'm about to head off to work for the day, and on my lunch break today, I got to make a stop at the Brick. And we don't buy stuff at the Brick very often, but it is almost chicken butchering season, and we looked at our deep freeze. The one's still right to the lid, full of pig. The other one's full of, I don't know what, but it's full. Doesn't matter. And that means we gotta have a place to put all these birds. And I wish when you bought a deep freeze, it would just, instead of just saying, oh, this is how many cubic feet, it would, how many chickens can you stuff inside that door? So I guess we'll see. 20 cubic feet is what we bought. 900 bucks. It was on sale, which still is a lot of money. But we needed another freezer anyways, so we'll get that one. I wanted to put it in the shop, but I lost the argument, so we're gonna put it in the basement in the house. And it's a stand-up, 20 cubic foot stand-up refrigerator, so that should be lots of room for the chickens we're gonna keep. Some are gonna go to family as well, and so that's gonna be a good day. I'm not sure. I think we're gonna probably wait another 2 weeks to do that. We're coming into a heat wave here, right? So I mean, you never want to do chickens on a hot day, but you especially don't want to do it on a day when it's 32 degrees. And that's what today is going to be, 32 degrees. They're saying later in the weekend, like Sunday and then maybe even Monday, we could be seeing 37 degrees. So that is like, I'm dying over here. Yeah, not a good time for anybody. Maybe if you're in Texas, but yeah, not here. Anyways, the air is going to hurt our face, right? It usually does in the wintertime, but now it's going to do it in the summertime because it'll be so damn sunburned. But anyways, I better get off to work here, and I'll be back later. See you in a bit. Well, it's official. The heat wave has arrived. It's 9:45 at night right now, and it is 35.5 degrees Celsius out here. It is toasty warm. Charlotte went to Granny's house today while Carmen was between night shifts, and I was at work. So she had some fun in the paddling pool there. And then as soon as we got home, no supper, no nothing, swimsuits on in the pool. And so we never heated that pool actually, and it was it was exceptionally cold actually for the first 10 days about that. But today it's actually it's a welcome coolness, and we had a lot of fun. So it's these super hot days like today where I kind of feel really bad for the chickens, because man, like, actually surprisingly in this one it's actually quite cool and airy. It's actually more refreshing to be in here than it is out there. I think about the other ones in the little chicken tractors, they're not as active as these ones are being. They're just kind of laying down, puffing up their feathers, and right, you can tell they're hot. And so we're fetching them lots of water, moving them onto that fresh grass. That's absolutely huge, because the fresh grass has more cooling effect because of more surface area in contact with the ground, as opposed to a piece they've already kind of eaten off. So probably over the next week here, we're gonna be doing twice daily moves just to keep them on that fresh, cool grass. Might even pre-water the ground before they go on, just to kind of cool everything off. And yeah, she's gonna be a rough couple weeks here, because we're looking at I saw it today actually, well, even on the radio today it was saying 39 degrees is looking like for Monday, and there's definitely a potential of hitting 40 degrees. So the hottest I've ever seen here in 21 years is 35 degrees. Now we've beat that at 9:45 at night. We're already exceeding the 21-year record. So, and this is the beginning of the heat wave. So I'm thinking that swimming pool is going to get used a little bit more this week. So speaking of animals I feel super bad for, the pigs, man oh man. Pigs don't have sweat glands. Well, they have some sweat glands, but they don't, the sweat glands they have aren't really useful for helping them cool off. And apparently I don't have enough garden hose to reach here. But what I'm gonna try and do is get garden hose over to the actual garden. Imagine that, right? And then tee off and head over to the pig pen. And then I'm gonna rig up this sprinkler, tee system and sprinkler, so that we can make a wallow for them. Typically we don't allow them to wallow, but during a heat wave, you know what? She's gonna be Christmas Day for these piggies, because I would feel super bad for them if they had to struggle through this heat wave without being able to take a mud bath and cool off. So this piece of garden hose here, I don't know what happened, if it got hit by the lawnmower or driven over by a truck, or if it was just sitting out in the hot summer sun for too doggone long, but it actually swole up and burst right there and right there. So We had our very own lawn sprinkler here. So Carmen told me I should save this hose, wrap it up real nice, and we'll take it back to Costco. And I don't know, we've had this for probably a year, couple years maybe. She figured there was like maybe like a 5-year warranty on these Costco hoses. I don't know if that's true or not, or if it really is a thing, but if it's not a thing, it's heck, we're only maybe 10, 12 feet from the end. So I could technically cut that off right there and splice a new end on, and we'd still have a pretty decent length of hose here. So I might end up actually just trying to do that tonight. I'll see if I got a splice over in the shop. We can fix this up, and then we don't have to take a trip to Costco, because I'm not particularly keen on that either. Well, it looks like we're SOL on the garden hose repair. The repair kit we have is Gardena quick coupling repair kit, but it's for a 1/2-inch hose, which 1/2 inch is what I have here. The stuff down there is 5/8, but that's okay. I got 2 lengths of 1/2 inch here, and I'm gonna grab another sprinkler from the house, and I think we're gonna have enough hose to make it work, so let's give her a shot. So Carmen picked up this sprinkler today, well, I think it was today, from, must have been Canadian Tire. It's a Yardworks brand. It swivels like 16 different directions, and you can adjust all the flow patterns on it. It's supposed to cover 3,600 square feet, so should actually get really good coverage on our garden. So this is what we're gonna rig up in the center of our garden and just see what kind of coverage we actually get. If we can, well, if we can get 3,600 square feet, that's a ton. We can even afford to water the weeds at that point. All right, so this is our rig up here. We've got 250 feet of garden hose coming down from the house all the way down to our fancy multi-directional swivel-headed sprinkler system here, and a branch tee, and that's gonna head off over to the pig pen. The secret here isn't just having, 10,000 feet of garden hose, essentially. It comes down to the valves, right? And the valves don't have to be expensive. Most of the valves we bought at the dollar store. They're like $2.50, $3 a piece. And they don't need to be fancy. They just got to be able to direct water flow. And the water's gonna take really the path of least resistance. So they don't need to be super heavy duty, believe it or not. The sprinklers, on the other hand, cheap sprinklers don't last. That's one thing we definitely noticed. Saying that, this Ray Padula one, this is a dollar store one, and this has actually lasted for 3 years now. And I think this was, this was like $2-3, something like that. So there's not a lot of moving, well, there is, I mean, this is all moving parts, I guess, but there's not a ton of moving parts, I guess, in that respect. So if something's not working right, it's usually a tweak or a twist of something, and away she goes. So we're gonna take this over to the pig pen here now, and we're gonna mount it to the fence, get the hose connected up, and we're gonna get the water turned on, see if we can adjust this first, and then we're gonna have super awesome shower party in the pig pen. There we are, that's all there is to it. Just wedged it in the corner of the fence in between the 2x4 and the post, and the sprinkler's gonna shoot up and over top and out into piggy paradise. Let's go turn some water on, make some magic happen. So I gotta say, coming into the garden here and having a look, like, some of the stuff is doing exceptionally well. The potatoes, man, the potatoes are just jamming. And the turnips, the beets, they're doing really good. Radishes, doing pretty good. Carrots, not so much. Not sure what's going on with carrots. And the peas are kind of in the middle. And anyways, to be expected. I guess, last year, if you recall, if you were watching last year at all, this might as well have been the Walmart parking lot that we were dealing with. It was rock hard clay. And we mixed results. We had a very poor turnout for potatoes. We had a fantastic turnout for weeds. So we knew that stuff could grow in the soil. We just needed to facilitate a healthy enough environment. The stuff we wanted to grow would actually grow here. And so we brought in, I think it was something like 40 yards of compost and peat moss and everything, and worked it in here. And in the spring, we shaped the beds. And so, as you can see, maybe you can't see, but as you get further down there, it looks greener, right? It looks like the garden's just doing fantastic. But really, what it is stinkweed is doing fantastic down there, and that is the trade-off. When you come in and you work everything up, and you bring in soil and compost you're gonna bring in weed seeds. And so, over on this side, Carmen and I have been, we've been on it, right? Trying to get this weeded down.
We did some straw mulching in here. That was very effective. We did wood chip mulch in here. Again, I mean, it's no secret. Look at that. It looks amazing. And then you just come run one row over, and you could almost run the lawnmower up this row. Maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration, but you know, going from mulch to no mulch, and I mean, that solidifies it right there for what we're gonna do next year. No questions asked. Every single row, I'm gonna have to buckle down, invest the time, and get that mulch layer in there. It's a lot of work. Don't get me wrong. I think to do these 4 rows was, you know, probably a couple hours each, right? Just to get, you know, that, because it's not like you're just putting dry straw in. This is old bedding and manure, so it's laden, it's heavy with urine and cow poop. So it does good stuff, but it's labor intensive, but it's worth it in the long run. No denying it. So I'm doing the walk of shame back up to the house right now. Walked all the way down there, talked about mulch. And here I just turned on the valve at the manifold. Didn't actually turn on the valve at the house. So 250 feet away, and I got no water. So here I am having to climb uphill, work my way through the rock garden, try not to break my ankle. And we'll be in business here. There we go. Bingo. Well, there you go. Looks like magic is happening. Doesn't, what are we at? 1, 2, 3, 4.5 rows maybe that are getting water in both directions. So if we're to use just this one, we're definitely gonna need 2, maybe even 3. But we'll see how well this one works out. We'll let it run for a few days. Obviously not consecutively for a few days, but a few different watering periods. And if it looks like it's the bee's knees, well, maybe we'll pick up a couple more. Well, good evening, piggies. Looks like it's supper time, hey? Boy, these pigs are sure getting big. They're, I'm guessing they gotta be 65, 70 pounds here now. Looking good. So now the moment of truth, we're gonna turn on the sprinkler and get some water in. I just swallowed a fly. Anyways, we're gonna get some water in the pig pen here and see if we can't make a bit of a wallow for them. Typically we don't do that except for when it's really, really hot like it's gonna be. And I'm not overly concerned about, you know, long-term impact to the pig pen because, I mean, you can see they've been rooting in here, right? And they do work things up a little bit. They'll aerate it. Obviously they're working out some differences over the dinner table there, but they'll till everything up and it'll dry up again here, you know, within a week, 2 weeks, I'm sure, after we turn it into a mucky mess. So no long-term, you know, lasting impacts I'm not seeing because, you know, we're not going to put enough water at it. But let's make some magic happen. So I just got that on as narrow as I possibly can, so it's not casting over the whole pig pen. It's just kind of shooting in the middle, and we'll see how we make out in a couple hours. All right, quick change of plan because it was ticking a little bit there, and it was getting kind of all over the place, and I really want it centralized in one spot. So easy trick to do, just take a dandelion and shove it in the back where the mechanism there is, and it doesn't allow it to oscillate, and then you're just dealing with a single straight stream, and then you can adjust the flow pattern of that stream as necessary quite easily. So we've got it shooting now kind of right over beside where their food trough is, and we'll make them a nice pool to play and muck and roll around in for tomorrow. So there you go. We've got a spot where they've already been kind of digging in. I've got the water just kind of aimed perfectly, trickling in there, and I think that's going to work out just beautifully. Really not sure what to make of this sprinkler hose, but I think once they figure it out, they're going to have a grand old time. You just got to get brave enough to get in there. So I just came out of the chicken house, got today's eggs. There's 44 eggs today. So we're down quite a bit. And so maybe now's a good time to answer the question before it gets asked. Because sometime next week, there's going to be a whole bunch of people saying, man, oh man, I can't figure it out. It's middle of summer. Why did my chickens stop laying? And honestly, it's just because of a significant increase in temperature. Creates a lot of stress on the birds, and they just say, you know what, we're gonna take a little mini vacation. And during the heat wave, they're probably just not gonna lay as efficiently as they usually would. So we're gonna probably drop over the next week, probably see 25 to 30% decrease in egg production. Certainly that's what we've seen in the past during these, you know, really, really hot spells. And you know what? That's fine. That's fine. The girls can take it. You know what? I don't even want to do anything and, you know, work on projects and be efficient and effective when it's 38 degrees outside. No, sir. I want to be in the swimming pool. So, so I have no qualms about the chickens taking a little break for a few days. That's just fine. Anyhow, I should probably get in the shop and wash these up, and then that'll be it for the chores for the evening. So I'll probably go inside and fix up a cup of tea. So might as well let you go for now. I hope you have a fantastic evening. We'll see you tomorrow.